Hey, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to talk about the books that I am interested in, intrigued by, what have you, that are coming out in the early part of 2025. So these are books that are new releases coming out in January, February, March 2025 that are on my radar. Some of them are from authors that I have enjoyed before. Some are authors I've never heard of. But either way, these are books that I am looking forward to checking out in the first part of 2025, so let's dive in. So the first 2025 release that I'm excited about comes out on January 16th, and it is Grady Hendrix's new book, Witchcraft for Waiver Girls. And Grady Hendrix is an author. I have read almost all of his books. The only book of his I haven't read is Horror Store, and I've enjoyed every single one of them, so this one I know I'm gonna love. And this one is about a teenage girl who goes to this secluded home. It's in the 1970s, and she's pregnant. And so she's basically going to this sort of home for pregnant teens to kind of go be hidden away while she finishes up her pregnancy and has her baby. And so while she's there, she comes across this witchcraft book that somehow gets her thinking about stuff. And I think this book's going to be really good because I know in the past Grady Hendrix has tackled pretty important themes in his horror novels. And in this one, I think he is definitely going to touch on female reproductive rights and pregnancy, and especially because of the time period he chose to go with, the 70s, I think that'll be interesting too, because again, teenage pregnancy I think was viewed a lot differently in the 1970s than it is now. And so yeah, I just think overall it's going to have really good themes, good social commentary, but it's also going to probably be kind of dark and kind of creepy. I'm just really excited for it. The next book I'm excited about for 2025 is called Let's Call Her Barbie, and it's by Renee Rosen. It comes out on January 21st, and this one is a fictionalized story about how Barbie, the doll, came to be. And this is just interesting to me because obviously I'm a girl. I grew up playing with Barbies. I think that they were such a great toy then. They're still a great toy now. I love how Barbie has evolved. The culture around Barbie, it's fascinating to me. So to read a book about how Barbie came to be is just something that really interests me. And then the final book for January 2025 that I'm looking forward to is Good Dirt, and it's by Charmaine Wilkerson. This comes out on January 28th, and I want to read this one because I read Charmaine Wilkerson's book Black Cake a couple years ago, and I really liked it. I think that, and this one's going to have kind of similar vibes in that it deals with a family dealing with a tragedy, and it also ties somehow into a family heirloom. And so Black Cake was a really good book about kind of like generational, like it was kind of a generational family thing. There was just a lot of themes about that, and I think this one's going to touch on similar things. And I really liked the writing in Black Cake, so I feel like this one is also going to be just a really good read. The next 2025 release that I'm looking forward to reading comes out on February 4th, and it's called Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fido. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, sorry. But this one is about a young woman who goes to be a governess to two children, and she is trying to sort of play the role of the good governess, you know, taking care of the children and everything, but inside she's having some very dark and twisted thoughts. And the sort of setting of the house being in this secluded big manor isn't helping things. And I just think that this book is going to be interesting because there have been so many sort of gothic or, you know, classic novels dealing with a governess and, you know, going to a big manor to take care of kids. But I don't think we've ever seen one where the governess is psychotic. So I think it'll be kind of fun. I feel like it's gonna have gothic sort of themes and everything, but I think it also might have a little bit of satire or humor. I'm not sure. I'm just sort of getting that vibe, but we shall see. But otherwise, I think it is going to be a very fun read. Okay, the next book that I am interested in reading in the early part of 2025 comes out on February 4th, and it's called The Lamb by Lucy Rose. And this one is, it's a gothic coming of age folktale, which that all just sounds very intriguing to me, but it's about a young, I don't know if she's a teenager or a young girl, I'm not sure, but she lives in this little cottage with her mother near a forest, and basically her mom, when strangers kind of stumble upon their cottage, her mom does some not so nice things to them, and it sort of has an effect on our main character. And then one day this particular stranger shows up that really gets her thinking about what her mom is doing and whatnot. So I feel like this one, it's gonna have, obviously the coming of age, as you guys know, is one of my favorite tropes. The whole mother-daughter dynamic is also something I've always really been interested in. And then just, yeah, the gothicness of it all. There's gonna probably be some like creepy, maybe horror elements. I'm not sure, but it seems like it's gonna be really good. So I am definitely intrigued by this one. The next book I'm interested in comes out on February 25th, and it's called Something in the Walls by Daisy Pierce. And this one is about a young woman who's a psychiatrist, and she is also grieving her own loss and goes to a like group therapy for people that have lost someone. And she meets this journalist there who tells her about this little girl who she might be interested in going and seeing. And this little girl is 13 years old and lives in this little town somewhere in England, and she is claiming that she has been haunted by this witch. And she keeps having this very erratic behavior, and it's getting escalating, getting worse and worse. And so when our main character goes there to investigate, things go down. And it sounds like it's gonna have a maybe have a little bit of a possession theme, which I really enjoy. I know some people don't like possession stories. I love them. I think they're great. So I think it's gonna be something like that. Just the whole concept to me it's like something familiar, but also it sounds kind of different and interesting. So I hope it's good. All right, I have two more books to talk about. They both come out in March. The first one is coming out on March 4th, and it's called They Bloom at Night. And it's by, I'm gonna say this author's name wrong, I'm sorry. It's by Trang Thang Tran. I think it's YA, but it just sounds so different that I want to check it out. It's about a girl that lives in a small town in Louisiana that has been affected by a hurricane. And so there's been a lot of flooding, and there's all of these like sea creatures that have kind of surfaced because of all the flooding. And there is one in particular that they think is trying to drown people. And so her and her mother are tasked by like the mayor of the town to kill this creature. And she's reluctant to do so. And I think it deals with grief and like what trauma to a community can do, something like a hurricane. It sounds very, I don't want to say mystical, but just the whole sea creatures and that sort of thing. It sounds sort of magical, sort of dark fairy tale maybe. I don't know. I think it sounds interesting and definitely something I've never really read before. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. And then the last book that I want to talk about comes out on March 25th, and it's Ashley Winstead's new book, This Book Will Bury Me. And this one I'm excited to read because I really loved The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead, but then her release that came after that, which the name of it totally escapes me. Midnight is the Darkest Hour. There we go. I had to look it up, look at my bookshelves. That one was okay. So this one I hope is a little better. It has to do with a girl who is obsessed with true crime because her father, I think, was the victim of a murder, and it just made her obsessed with true crime. And so when she hears about crimes that happen, she tries to kind of like she tries to be like an amateur detective and solve them herself. And so she hears of this story where a couple of college girls have been murdered, and so she heads out that way, I think it's in Idaho, to investigate, and discovers there's a lot more going on with this crime, and it gets kind of crazy. So I'm hoping that it's a little more like The Last Housewife and less like Midnight is the Darkest Hour, but I guess we'll see. All right, so those are the books that are coming out in early 2025 that I'm excited about. Let me know if these books are on any of your lists for 2025. I would love to know. And if you've heard of any that you think I should know about that I didn't mention, please let me know that too. And that's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will chat with you soon. Thank you so much for watching.